Welcome to the WNBF UK Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the WNBF UK Podcast with me, Sarah Glanville, as your host. In today's episode, I'm sitting down with our very first WNBF UK Mens Physique Pro. From way back in 2021, it's Mr. Josh Croggon. Hello, Josh. Welcome to the podcast, and how are you?
Hi, Sarah. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm very well. I'm in the depths of prep, but I'm loving life, and I'm very grateful to be on here.
I'm really glad that you wanted to come on, and yeah, we're going to talk about your prep quite a bit, but I can see your Skeletor face. You're definitely in the depth of it now.
Yeah, I made the mistake of having a shave just before doing this. I should have left the stubble on just to hide the cheekbones a little bit. But yeah, we're like, we've started competing now, so yeah, stage lean already, and then just got to hold this condition and keep going for the next, I think it's like 6-7 weeks, which will be great fun.
Yeah, it'll be great fun. You wear the cheekbones well, so it's all good.
Thanks, mate.
So it's been a while since you've been on the WNBF UK podcast. What's been happening in the last year and a half?
I believe I was the first ever guest on the WNBF podcast with Leon and was it Rob?
Yep, way back when.
So what's been happening? A lot and nothing at the same time. I feel like 2 years or 18 months has gone ridiculously quick. What has been happening? So since I was last on, I have had a very, very, very productive off season. There's been progression in the physique in all aspects, as you would kind of hope and wish for, because that is obviously the aim of an off season, is to make progressions in your physique. I have become a WNBF judge with obviously the WNBF UK. I've judged at 3 shows. I've seen firsthand just how difficult it is, and also I feel like I've got some inside info on how to get the judges' attention and whatnot, which hopefully, well, I'm sure I'll be able to put into my own presentation this year. So yeah, it's been busy. It's been busy.
Yeah,
bought a flat as well.
Yeah. Oh, bought a flat.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Life upgrades and everything.
Leveling up all over. That's exciting. Yeah, and I think I'm going to pick your brain in a little bit about those insights and from the judging panel, because we've got our supernaturals coming up, and I know people will be keen to hear any tips and insight that you have. You mentioned obviously your long off season. How have you found managing that? How long was it? A year, like a full kind of year out, and then prep? Longer than that?
So how I split it up. So I bet it would basically so the last show that I did was in November 2021. Wow. Literally nearly 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And basically what I did was I just split it up into 6 months, 6-month sectors. So I did 6 months of gaining, 2 months of maintaining, 4 months of cutting, and then literally repeat that again, and then prime for the prep this year. How did I manage it? It was fine. I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. When I first ever competed in 2019, and from then I've competed every year. So I did 2019, 2020, 2021. So last year was like my first proper break from competing since starting. So I think it did me good mentally. I'm certain it's done my body some good being in that like growing phase that little bit longer and not having the stress of getting down to stage lean as frequent. Yeah, I've had plenty of clients on stage, so I've learned a lot about the prep process and, you know, little tips and tricks to make it more efficient and more fruitful, let's say. It's just been a fine, fun process. But I'm glad that I've competed this year.
Yeah, good. It's interesting to hear your perspective on it, because I know you did back-to-back years and you competed back-to-back, and it's nice to hear that you felt you've got a lot from taking some time out and investing the time in growing. And I think it is, it's giving your body a break and like giving it a chance to soak everything up and hold on to the changes that you're making in that time out as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think like, especially when you go in, say you compete for the first time and you have a really good experience, you immediately think, right, I want to compete again next year. Every year that I've competed, I've won a show or won a regional or even turning pro. And it kind of makes you think, I want to do it again. I want to do it again. But you've got to put your like emotional mind to one side and think, no, I need to look after my body. I need to think more like longevity, rather than just trying to get them like that dopamine hit of competing and placing or being competitive like every year. Sometimes having that little bit of a break leads to more in the long run. So yeah.
For sure. And obviously it sounds like you've done a lot of things outside and away from stage in the last year, you know, like you said, buying a house, and you've had a lot of clients that have kind of been taking that competitive journey, and that takes energy from you and that takes focus and intention. And of course, I know you will have done it well this year doing it both, but it's nice to have that space where you can really focus on growing your business and developing your personal life, I suppose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, yeah, like the going forward, I think how I'll try and do it is like alternate years, like do something massive one year, like in life, and then go and compete and try and, you know, become a world champion the next, and just kind of just do that until I'm basically like 55 years old, and then retire.
I love it. That's how I've seen this year, is like make up for all the things that kind of do go a little bit when you're in prep, and then it means next year when I come into prep, I'll be able to give like 110% to it.
Yeah. It just makes you that little bit more hungry. You wait for next year, you're going to be like, right,
I'm excited
to make the most of this.
Yeah. And how did you find, I think we spoke briefly about this at some point in the last year, but you kind of pushed to new body weight highs and stuff. How did you find that?
It's just kind of, it's just a thing that you've got to do with bodybuilding. Like if you want to progress your physique, you've got to progress your physique. Like staying the same and looking the same and lifting the same, you don't go anywhere. If anything, you go backwards, because the standard of bodybuilding, standard of natural bodybuilding is just getting higher and higher and higher every year. You've got to keep, you've got to keep ahead of the curve, or you've got to keep up with the curve at least. You can't be falling behind. In terms of pushing up to new body weight highs, I actually didn't do that.
Oh, okay.
So my the off season that I had before turning pro, I got really, really, really sloppy. So I'm 5'10", and I ended up weighing in at like 97 kilos, which is pretty substantial for someone of my height, natural. So I thought, right, this year I'm going to be smart. I'm going to try and maintain reasonable condition, drive my body weight up like with that reasonable condition, and then just focus on getting really strong in the gym. So like making sure that every single lift that I finished on my 2020, 2021 off season is progressed like massively. So yeah, literally every single exercise was PB'd for multiple reps, for multiple sets. And that was kind of like the main priority at every single point of the off season, like performance progression, like actually maintaining reasonably aesthetic. Just keeping a lid on things, but also progressing. Yeah.
So where did you top out like the off season then?
95.5. So not far off. Only like 1.5 kilos away from peak body weight, but I still had like some lines in my abs. Like the shape was pretty good. I only looked back at the photos 2 days ago of like my last check-in of my off season, and I'm quite proud of myself for keeping it fairly respectable, especially with it being an 18-month off season. That's a really long time to keep it under control.
It is, and I guess it's great to hear that you were actually that close to 97, but the condition was just so much better. It just tells you that the work's been going to the right place.
Yeah, definitely.
So were you always planning to come back to stage this year, or was there ever a point that it was like kind of an open-ended off season?
No, I feel like the second that I stepped off stage, I was like, yeah, in 2 years' time, I'm going to come back. I'm going to be hungrier than ever. Because like, I feel David Langsdale, who is obviously now a fellow pro, I feel like I've almost followed his journey, like probably for like the last 5 or 6 years. And seeing what he achieved last year, it really did like that spark in me. So I was 100% always going to compete this year. Yeah, there was there's not been any point in the prep either where I've thought, no, I'll just go into an off season again and I'll compete next year. I've just known that like everything that I've done, it's been productive and good. So seeing the process through with like, it's never been in doubt. Never been in doubt.
Yeah, and you made an excellent point earlier around like just the standard of the natural men's physique scene is just crazy. Like I feel like every year people are coming out of the woodwork that have never competed before, that are challenging for British titles, they're challenging for pro cards. So I think for you winning your pro card, it made sense that now was the time to kind of step back, take a little bit of time and really settle yourself in those pro ranks when you return.
Yeah, definitely.
So how's prep been this year? Like how have you felt it's compared to previous preps?
So prep this year, and I feel like it sounds really cliche, and I feel like a lot of people lie when they say it. But I can honestly say, hand on heart, that this has been the easiest prep that I've ever done. It's been the longest prep. Like, I'm not going to work out how long it's been until I'm done, because I don't want that to like get into my head and think, oh, I've been dieting for a long time. But we're in October now, and I literally started prep on the 5th of May. It's the 5th of October today, coincidentally.
Yeah.
So that's how long my prep's been so far. And we've got another like 1.5 months to go. And just giving it like that more time, it's just meant less stress. The rate of loss has been slower. I've been able to just enjoy life a little bit more. Like I've been on 2 holidays whilst on prep, and it's not affected like the rate of loss or like progress at all. Yeah, it's like the most mentally sound that I've been on prep. I've not really felt any kind of apart from like a few weeks before the first show, self-doubt has been like minimal, because I just feel like I've got no pressure on me this time, because I'm not going in to try and win pro cards or win a British title. I'm going into a completely different level of competition that you almost can't predict where you're going to be, because you don't know who's going to turn up. You don't know what the judges are going to look for at that top end. In the amateurs, I feel like it's very clear cut. For like, you'll have a handful of guys that are very clearly quality men's physique competitors, and then you just pick between them. Like the judges just pick their preference between that top group. Whereas when you're going into a pro show, everyone's quality, everyone's won a national title or a world title. You know, you can't go in thinking my aim is to place top 3. You've just got to go in thinking I'll do my best and see where that falls on the day.
Yeah. And I think I actually remember listening to that first podcast you done with Robin Leon, and I think you'd said like your first prep was like 6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, my first prep was ridiculous.
Complete departure from that experience to this, like just comparable.
Yeah, it's not even comparable. Like that first prep, I like literally ate nothing for 6 weeks, and then stepped on stage not having a clue what to do. This time, it's been a breeze.
Yeah,
I'd take longer preps over shorter preps any day of the week.
Yeah. And do you think that's just your experience as you're maturing as an athlete and learning more about the sport?
Yeah, definitely. Like the more skin that you've got in the game, the more you learn about your own body. Like I've got clients, the more time that I can work with my clients, the more I can learn about their bodies and like what's the best environment for them to be in or for me to be in to be able to get that best end outcome. And for some people, it might be a shorter prep and going more aggressive. But for me, it's like I prefer low stress, longer period of time. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And you mentioned obviously going on holiday during prep. I actually did the same as you last year. I did 2 holidays. I had a long prep as well. But do you feel like that was just an obstacle that you had to navigate during prep, or do you feel like it actually enhanced your experience during prep in any way?
I feel like it enhanced my experience of prep. Like, again, I split the prep up like pre-holiday, post-holiday, and I almost use the holidays like a little bit of a deload period.
Yeah.
So just give my body a bit of a rest, come back re-energized and ready to go again. It were awesome. Yeah, they were like little pit stops. Absolutely quality. Definitely something that I won't be shying away from in the future.
Yeah.
I have done it in the past. 2021, I went for a week in Barcelona and it didn't affect prep at all, as I obviously went into pro. But yeah, don't if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, I need to completely dedicate every aspect of my life to a bodybuilding prep, you really don't. You can make things work, and the things that like you would probably say, no, I can't do that, they might actually make the process easier, more enjoyable, and you improve that end outcome.
Yeah. I think something that I've always kind of like really liked the stuff that you talk about, Josh, is that it's clear to see you still do have an element of, for want of a better word, I hate the word, but balance in your life. Like, you are very dedicated, you're very committed, you're a high level competitive pro athlete, but you're also someone who can give 110% when is needed, but you know how to also not put that pressure on yourself to be 100% perfect every single day. And I think that just goes to, you talk about you feeling a lot less pressure this time round. It is finding that way that it works for you. And I think sometimes competitors come into prep or come into competing thinking that the only way they'll ever be successful is if they tick every single box every single day, and they have to be incredibly intense or they're not doing it right. But I love that you talk about this really openly and having that flexibility within what you're doing.
100%. I push it on my clients as much as I possibly can. Anyone that like kind of comes to me asking questions about like their first ever prep or even seasoned competitors, how I see it is, me personally, I am a 95% bodybuilder. 95% of the time, I will go at it 110 miles an hour. Like, no chance, like nothing will get in the way of my progress. But that 5%, like, is golden to me. Like, I will never say no to someone ask me to go out for food or whatever. Even now, I wouldn't say no. We just make it work. And yeah, it's that the 5% is what makes life worth living, and it's what enriches life, and it's what you're going to look back on in 30 or 40 years. And you don't want to be saying no to everything because you've done a bodybuilding prep or you want to compete in 5 years' time. Just think, go and enjoy it. And then the things that you can control, go at it 100%, but then still have that 5% that you enjoy.
Yeah. I think the stress that you put on yourself affects how you look, like, massively, especially in the depths of prep like you are now. If you're like completely wound up and stressed about being perfect every single day, like, it's going to show in your physique. You need to have that kind of chilled out, a little bit, take a breath. It's not life or death. Like, you're choosing to do this and it's supposed to be enjoyable.
That's it. Do you know what? You've nailed it then. You are choosing to do this. You are putting yourself in this position. At any given point, you can pull the plug. So having that like freedom to leave it or park it for a year, 2 years, whenever, that should calm you in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah, for sure. So you competed with PCA last weekend. I'm glad we're doing it today now, actually, after your first show. So I want to tell everyone listening how that went.
No, it went quite well. No, so last weekend I competed with PCA at the PCA Yorkshire. So that is a untested amateur show. And I know that you might be thinking, oh yeah, Josh is a pro. I'm not recognised as a pro with that federation. So there's no drama there, promise you. I had quite a few messages on Instagram like, Josh, why are you competing when an amateur show when you're a pro? I'm a WNBF pro. It's all good. But yeah, I competed in a pretty stacked class, the most cliche term ever when it comes to describing your class. But there were 9 guys and there were 9 awesome guys, and I won. But most impressively, there were 2 naturals on that stage, and we both placed first and second. So, what does that tell you? It tells you natties are better than anyone else.
No, and then also your overall lineup was 3 of 4 were natty, right?
Yeah. So in the overall, me and Chris Rendell, we had a little rematch.
Yeah.
After our 2021 battle for the WNBF Pro card, and then also young Jack Hattersley, who was a fellow natty, junior men's physique competitor. He ended up winning the overall. Yeah, three out of 4 competitors in an overall natural in an untested federation. That is amazing. I think that just shows the state of natural bodybuilding at the minute. Like, it is on the rise in a massive way. Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
It's so exciting. And I've said this to Dave when he was on. I think that you guys both have done so much to raise the profile of natural men's physique. No, like, and I'm not just gassing you up, right? You invest time in your social media, and let's be serious, that's where we all live now, and we all spend time looking at it. But I think you both have spent a lot of time and investment in building up your social media, doing YouTubes, documenting your journeys, and it is clearly having an impact on guys coming into the sport and choosing to stay natural, because I think that a lot of people will have always ended up in the sport in some way, but we're often overshadowed in the natural side of the sport by bigger names in the untested side of the sport. But I think you've both done a lot of work over the last few years to raise the profile of natural bodybuilding, and you see that in the number of men who are competing in the men's physique classes, and then now for it to be like a complete takeover on an untested stage is just so exciting. And it's a testament, I think, to a lot of the work that you guys are doing, which is really, you should be proud of that.
I'm not gonna lie, I have got goose pimples right now. Like, me and David first competed against each other in 2020, and we just got on like a house on fire straight away. And David said it, I think we're at a UK DFBA British finals, but we won't mention them. We're just the random British finals, and he was like, we're like the trailblazers of the natural men's physique, like, UK like scene. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, 100%. Like, we're yeah. And in like the last couple of years, I just feel like, yeah, that it is coming through. The amount of competitors with the natural federations doing men's physique is genuinely insane.
It's frightening.
Like,
it's like frightening.
Every single class is completely filling the stage every single time. I've never seen anything like it at any federation ever. It is amazing, and I hope it continues. I'm certain it will, because me and David are never going to stop. And like we said, the guys coming through are just getting better and better, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's amazing.
It is. It's amazing. I guess, how did you find mentally coming into that PCA show, knowing it was untested? Did that almost take a little bit of pressure off you? You said your mind was playing a little bit up in the few weeks before the show. So what was your headspace going into that?
I was absolutely fine until I entered the show. And then when I entered the show, I was like, this is actually happening now. I've been preaching and singing all this natural bodybuilding stuff for the last 2 years. it would be incredibly embarrassing for me if I went there and didn't show like the true potential of a natural. Luckily, luckily, I didn't mess up, and I did kind of like, surprise a few people. But yeah, honestly, I was so nervous when I first entered, but then when the day comes around, like you're just thinking about so many other things. Like I always worry about my tan and like getting pumped up right, and like just the small little details of the day that I weren't really nervous when it actually came to it. It was just the few weeks before I was a bit quiet, put it that way.
I think it is easy to get in like your own head about it, and I'm selfishly finding myself asking everyone who has come back to stage how they deal with that pressure, because for me, like, I thought my mindset last year was like on point. I was so proud of it the whole way through, like zero pressure, was not bothered like on the outcome of stuff, and was just really happy to be there and doing it. And this now, having a little bit more of a profile, like people knowing who you are, and then they start expecting things from you. Like for me, I can feel the pressure, and I'm not even decided exactly what shows I'm doing yet. So I'm always interested to speak to people who are in that situation, especially when, like you've literally come from back-to-back seasons of success. Like you said, you've never had a season that you've not won a show, and then a regional, and then a pro card, or so. Yeah, I was just keen to hear your thoughts. And it's a pressure you put on yourself to live up to an expectation that other people have of you, maybe.
Yeah. So I did struggle with this after I had my pro card, got my pro card, because I put the pro card dream as something that like you achieve when you're 30.
Yeah.
And I achieved it at 24. And I was like, right, well, what do I do now? And this 4 or 5 month period where I felt like I was doing well with training, but I weren't doing as well as what I felt like I should have been doing. And it probably got to like February, March time last year. And I just had a word with myself like, look, you've got this now, right? Don't mess it up, because there's thousands of people that would break your arm to be in your position.
Yeah.
And you just switch the energy from like being a negative thing, a negative weight that you're carrying, to like a really positive fuel that like you go into every session and you think, yeah, I am a winner. You are a winner, Sarah. You are, mate. You deserved everything that you won last year. And next year you're going to come back even more improved, and touch wood, hopefully the streak will continue. You've just got to switch it's not a heavy weight that you're carrying. It's like it's a medal of honor. You should be really, really proud. And that is fuel.
Thanks. I'm literally like, I die inside when anyone ever talks to me about like it. But yeah, thank you. And I think, it is that thing. You've just got to turn it into a positive, and it's nice to see other people doing it really well. How are you feeling coming into the pro shows? Like, talk to us about what the plans are for the rest of your season, and then you can tell me how you're feeling about that.
Yeah. So, right. Plans for the rest of the season. I only ever had one goal in bodybuilding, and that was to win a pro card with the WNBF. That was achieved. It was like, right, what do I want to do now? Everything that I'm going to do going forward is purely chasing an experience, or like, this is a dream that I had X amount of years ago. I'm going to go after that. Like, I don't want to set any goals anymore. I do want to win, world title, but I have an understanding that is a little bit out of my hands. And yeah, it's not like, if I didn't win a world title, I'd be fine with it. I'm not going to lose sleep in like 30 years time. It's all good. So this year I'm just doing the shows that I've just really got a burning desire to do. So my next show, I'm heading out to Texas on the 14th of October to go and compete at the Summer Shredding Classic, which is do you know Christian Guzman is?
Yeah.
Yes, the founder and owner of Alpha Leap. He hosts a show, and he has done for the last few years. And when he first announced, I think about 3-4 years ago, that he was doing a show called the Summer Shredding Classic, I was like, right, one day I am going to go and do it, and this year is the year that I am going to go and do it. And the prize money is massive, the experience is massive, the opportunities are massive, and I'm going to go give my absolute all, and put that natural men's physique UK scene on a really big stage, and tell everyone with ears, the British are here, the British are natty, and we're not bad. So that's the first show, or the second show on the list. Also, I wanted to do the PCA Yorkshire because I am a very proud Yorkshire man.
Can't
and
tell.
When they announced that they were doing that, I was like, I want to be the king of Yorkshire.
Well, there you are. You've won
there
it.
we are. And then following up from that, so I was going to stay over in the States for like literally between the Summer Shredding Classic and the Worlds, but the cost of that is ridiculous. I'm talking around 20 grand. There's no point that I'm doing that. So I'm coming back home literally a day later, and then the preparation for the WNBF Pro Show in Germany commences, which is on the 5th of November, which is a legit, it's probably the biggest pro show this side of the Atlantic when it comes to the WNBF. The standard last year was insane. The standard the year before was also insane. So I'm expecting it to be out of this world again. And again, it's another opportunity for me and David to go up against one another. And hopefully I'll make it, I think it'll be 3-0. If I beat David this year, then I'll be beating him 3-0. But
I did not know you were going to Germany. I didn't know you were going to Germany.
Oh, yes. I decided it like a month and a half ago.
I'm coming. I'm going to watch. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Amazing.
You'll see
Who are you going to support?
Well, I'm going to support David and his client's going. And I think Steph's
coming. And who?
His client, one of his clients are going. And I'm going to think Steph's coming.
Oh, very nice. And then also me.
Support you, of course. Of course.
Kind of.
Like you've said, no, of course. But like you've said, it's an amazing show. Like I think seeing the standard last year, it's so close. It's like you've got to kind of make the trip across and go. So yeah.
Literally. It's going to be a go Friday, come back Monday kind of job. It'll be great. Yeah,
it will be. And so Germany and then Worlds.
And then Worlds in Seattle.
I'm also going to Seattle.
Amazing. Blooming egg.
I know. I feel like I'm in a really fortunate position at the moment. Like I'm going to go out with Steph and see everyone and cheer for everyone. So yeah. It's gonna be good.
That's going to light a serious fire for you. When you go to a bodybuilding show and you're not competing, it's something else.
It's mental. Like the first timers, I was standing backstage, like looking at everyone like, oh my God, like can't wait to get back out here, and trying to compare yourself to the lineup as well when you're not competing is hard. So I'm excited. Fire's going to be lit for next year.
It can really mess with your head as well, when you're like not in stage condition and you're looking at people that are like, absolutely shredded, they look ginormous. Last year, sat on the judging table watching Jovan win the overall.
Yeah.
I was literally like, I need to retire now. At 25 years old, my bodybuilding career is done. I'm never going to win a show again. But this is like, you can either leave it as like a negative thought in your mind, or you can use it as fuel. Yeah. And it's it takes a bit of time, but once you get there, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
it's like the best fuel ever.
No, it is. I think it'll be great to see it. So because I think you'll know this better than anyone, just to confirm for everyone listening. So as a pro now, you need to compete in a show before Worlds, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing the Germany show and then you're doing Worlds.
So it's not necessarily a qualifier. You've just got to go onto a stage and show that you've still got a pro level physique. and
Then
you'll qualify. I hope that's the case. Anyway, it'd be a bit awkward if not. So I've booked my flights the other day to Seattle. So
no, I'm pretty sure that's right. And how are you feeling about so obviously with the show in Texas, it's like an amazing opportunity, something you've always really wanted to do. How are you feeling about going back to compete as WNBF Pro? Because you also did you took your pro class, you did your pro class at Worlds when you won your pro card, but then how are you feeling this year?
So 2021, I didn't really feel like I was a pro. Like I'd done amateur shows the entire year, and then going to Vegas and competing in the pro show again, no expectations at all, and I placed third, which is pretty amazing.
Okay.
But it didn't sink in at any point. Like, to me, the biggest achievement was winning my pro card. Like, coming third in the world was just way bigger than I could ever imagine. Like, that is ginormous. Beating people that, like, I'd watched on YouTube for years. A guy called Patrick, who, is like best mates with Jeff Nippard. It's just crazy. So how do I feel going into this year? I feel like this year's my pro debut. This year I'm going to put a physique on stage that is pro level. I just feel ready.
Yeah. Good.
It's been good.
I'm excited for you. So you mentioned at the start of the episode as well that you joined our WNBF UK judging team, and you've been taking part as a judge for the last 3 shows. So I know you're not making it to Supernaturals because you've got your own plans with competing in Texas. So do you have any like insider tips or advice for the guys who are competing at Supers?
Oof. I feel like this could go for every single class, men or women. Just when you step out on stage, don't think about the stage that you're stepping on. Just imagine wherever you've been practicing your posing, whether it's in your bedroom or in your posing studio in your gym, like go to that place and feel comfortable and enjoy it, because not many people get to step on a national stage. Like just enjoy it. Don't be nervous. I know it's really easy to say when you're not on stage. Just enjoy it. Keep you calm. Do everything that like you've done 1,000 times before, and yeah, just be present on that day because it is a massive achievement.
It really is. Have you found that you're someone since that very first show that was confident when they stood on stage, or were you nervous?
My girlfriend calls it like Josh's alter ego. When I go out on stage, my brain switches off. I can't remember any of it. But
I'm literally the exact same.
I come across as quite confident and sure of himself. So yeah. There are times like when I competed at the Worlds, I was very, very, very nervous. And looking back at the videos, I can see that I weren't quite in my stride like I had been in previous shows. But that just comes with experience. If it's your first time competing at the Supernaturals, just set yourself like a really low level goal of like, let's say, going out on stage and not falling over, right? And if you don't fall over, then you've done amazing, right? Don't be like, crazy unrealistic with your goals unless you have got, Joe Van Essen's physique. Then you can set yourself some pretty ridiculous goals. But yeah, just go and enjoy it. Be present. Yeah, keep it cool.
Cool. Good. I think that's great advice. Any last words before we sign off?
Can I plug my socials and my own podcast?
I mean, I guess not yet. Of course you can.
Right. If you have made it to this far in the podcast, then I feel like you should just continue listening to my dulcet tones and head over to my podcast, Board Shorts and Banter, where me and my little friend, Tom Stockton, fellow men's physique competitor, competing at the Supernaturals. We just talk absolute nonsense. We're only like, we recorded our 3rd episode yesterday, so it's still in its infancy. But it's going to be a very good podcast in time. Just, go and head over, show it some love. I'm pretty on it with the YouTube. So my YouTube channel is, I think it's Josh Croggon or JC Fitness or something. Like and subscribe, do all the YouTubey bits. And my Instagram is Josh Croggon _ and my online coaching is Just Coaching. There you go. Great name, that, isn't it? Amazing.
Very smart. I like what you did there.
It's so much more than just coaching, you see.
It is.
It is.
No, love it. Okay, awesome. I'm glad you got your chance to do that, Josh.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you so much for talking with me today. I'm really excited to see the rest of your season unfold, and I'm sure our listeners will be following along as well. And thank you to everyone for listening along at home. I hope you have all enjoyed Josh and I's chat as much as I have. We're going to be back with episode 19 of the WNBF UK podcast, and that's going to be our final episode before Supernaturals. Until then, if you want to enjoy any of our previous episodes, you can do that on Spotify or YouTube. Have a great few weeks, guys. This has been the WNBF UK podcast.
Check out CNP, our sponsors, and sign up for our events at WNBFUK.com.